All right. Let's stay. Oh, look, it's Austin at Columbia College. That would be in Chicago, I believe. To the director, that would be you. Do you feel like you needed to live up to the infamous Fear and Loathing, or did you start from scratch?
Completely from scratch. One of the things you have to do as a screenwriter, which my sins I am, is read the source material and throw it away, because otherwise you're stuck in trying to... I mean, I'll give you an example of this, is that my favorite book on earth is David Copperfield, and it's 900 pages long. It took Dickens 2 years to write, and if I was asked to write it as a flick, what am I going to do? I've got 105 minutes. So you have to absorb the essence of what it is you're trying to write and make it your own. And certainly with the Ramdari, there was no way I was going to sit there and in my writing room and think, oh, what did Hunter say here? What was this scene here? I wanted to be in the vernacular of Hunter S. Thompson, who, we all incredibly admire, but I couldn't try and write like him. So I read the book a couple of times, threw it away, and then wrote my version of him, of what I thought Hunter would be in my head when I was writing this thing. And indeed, there are only literally 2 lines of the book in the film. Great lines they are too. One is, have some fun with a fucking Luger, which is one of the lines, and we'll be lucky to find an oil spot when they're looking for the car. But I had to kind of just love him, which I genuinely do as a writer. He was one of the great 20th century writers, him and old Bill Burroughs and 1 or 2 others, but he was such a great writer, Hunter, and he really affected me as a writer, even though I found him later in my life.
In the room.
Apparently that's what he did.
In the room to the right.
Hi, thanks to both of you for being here. There were many things that I really enjoyed about the film, but in the spirit of Hunter Thompson and the rage that you're talking about, I want to, quite rage, but I just want to ask you a little bit about something that bothered me a bit in the film, which was the portrayal.
Me?
You, Johnny, you.
Yeah. Oh, I had the same problem.
Yeah. Unwatchable.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I had the same problem with every film I do.
There you go.
Isn't that weird?
No, it's
we should
about
probably move in together, shouldn't we? We see eye to eye, don't we?
What's that?
You and I.
Yep. Hey, I was an actor for a while. If you need a stand-in, I'm in.
Are you? Is this like a weird pickup?
It is.
Focus.
It's not going very well.
I think it's going very well, actually.
Yeah.
I am intrigued. I am.
Well, what is it? The question is about the...
Come forward, young man.
I will. Find me afterwards. I'll be in the bathroom.
Are you selling tickets?
What's happening?
In the bathroom.
All right. Somehow veering my way back on the track.
What are you going to be doing in the bathroom now?
Yeah.
I'm not turned on anymore, by the way.
What's that?
I'm not turned on anymore.
Okay.
All right, keep going. What?
It was a good try. Okay, I want to ask you about the portrayal of Puerto Ricans in the film. To me, it seemed like there were a lot of violent men and sort of sexualized women, and that bothered me a bit. I'm curious whether that was something you were concerned about, or what your thoughts are on that.
Is your feeling that the Puerto Ricans portrayed themselves badly?
No.
I mean the Puerto Ricans in the film, because they were actually Puerto Rican actors.
I guess I'm just curious about, in the writing of the film, when you were creating some of those secondary characters, how did you conceive of them, and was that something that you thought about?
I think really the film. I mean, at its core is what enraged Hunter was the idea of the despoilization of a paradise. when Cuba, for example, in '59 was no longer available to the U.S. government, where do they go? Puerto Rico. What's next? Let's take it. Let's take it. Let's have it. Let's chew it up. Let's churn it out. And so essentially, I mean, that's really what was going on. But I don't. I don't see anything in the film that is misrepresentative to Puerto Rico or to Puerto Ricans at all. I think it represents very, very well the truth, in the sense that this horrific capitalist monster was coming in there with, you know, gnashing teeth, and it commenced around then, and they're still gnashing, you know. Yeah. You know.
You just shook your head when he asked the question. So do you want to comment or move on?
Well, yeah. If I may.
We're going to see him in the bathroom later, don't we?
Yeah, we can have a follow-up discussion.
Both of us?
Discussion.
What will he do? The whole thing, which is the motor drive of the movie in a sense, is, you know, when you see West Side Story and you see these gangs in New York who were basically Hispanic gangs. What happened in the 1950s is that the US moved into Puerto Rico with the United Fruit Corporation, and everyone who worked there on, you know, pineapples or whatever it was, were thrown out of work because the equipment moved in, and now it was big business. And so the Puerto Ricans suddenly found themselves, after 500 years, having no jobs, nothing to do. They couldn't do the fruit anymore, and then they moved to New York, and that is West Side Story, you know. And then it's the same thing in England, you know. We fuck them up, and then they come over here to our country, and then we kind of are critical of them finding work in our country. And that's exactly what happened in Puerto Rico. It was a very, very bad time in the 50s and 60s for the Puerto Ricans, you know. They were really torn to bits as a society. Anyway, fuck it.
Thanks.
He's made me have coffee, too.
Do you think this is too much of a repeat here from Trey Morgan at Fort Hays State University, or you want to? We can all vote on this. Do we want to take the Fort Hays State University question? How is your approach to portray a younger Hunter S. Thompson different than your previous portrayal in Fear and Loathing? Was it more challenging this time?
We've answered that one.
I think we've covered the ground, but I mean, of course, yeah, it was infinitely more challenging because it was a kind of a version or a sliver of Hunter that I had to discover, you know, after he'd already made his exit, you know.
So over to this side.
Hi. I have a question for Mr. Robinson. What's one of the most important things in screenwriting you think anyone interested in getting into the field should know and consider when writing?
You should all see and read Withnell and I, for starters.
Oh,
That is
seven people have.
That's. I'm sorry. Withnell and I is I swear to you, like in the top 3 films of my absolute all-time favorites. You know, up there with To Have and Have Not and Time of the Gypsies. Withnell and I is a must-see, and if you guys don't have a copy, I'll send each one of you one.
Oh, it's an Oprah moment. Okay. Not a car for everybody, but a...
And you know what? I'll make coffee in the morning as well as waffles. Go ahead.
She's looking for screenwriting guru tips.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to... It's a good question.
No, it is a good question. Christ, what do? The only thing I do when I try and write a script is to see it as a big picture, and I have a wall in my writing room where I just write down ideas all the time. Then I suffer, because it's incredibly difficult. It's a real underrated craft, in my view, and it's incredibly difficult to do. But I do it in basically 3 acts. There was a fantastic American writer whose name escapes me. I'll get to it when I get to what he said. He said all screenplays are the same thing. Put a man up a tree, throw rocks at him, bring him down the tree. 1, 2, 3 acts, and that's what I always adhere to. Who said that, Johnny? You've no idea?
I have no idea.
Neither do I.
But I like
I think I may have made it up.
I think Bruce Robinson said that, actually.
Thank you.
Well done, yeah.
Over to the right.
Hi. Firstly, I wanted to thank y'all for coming to Austin. My question digresses a bit from the previous questions, but Mr. Depp, personally, my favorite roles that you've played are the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, Sweeney Todd, and Edward Scissorhands. And I wanted to know which out of these 3 roles, which one did you enjoy the most, and what was your main inspiration behind these roles?
And before you answer her...
By the way, it's S.J. Perlman said that.
There you go. S.J. Perlman. Good call, good call. Before, as you answer this, again, you say you do not like to watch yourself acting, but now you're a producer, so don't you have to watch the films you produce? Like, for example, this one. And also, is it true that you absolutely can't watch yourself in 3D because you don't watch 3D?
I can't see in 3D. I literally cannot. I've never seen anything in my life in 3D because I have a gamey left eye.
Okay. We confirm?
No, but like for real.
Rumor confirmed?
Kind of for real.
Okay. Now to her question.
And I don't. I don't.
Are you going to smoke?
Do you think I should?
Are you going to?
Are you threatening me? He wants me to light this thing on fire. It's probably a bad idea, isn't it?
I have no responsibility. Do what you want.
Oh, wow. I mean...
That might be... This night might be over in about 30 seconds, people.
We're going to be fine.
So he made us do it.
We're going to be fine because, Christ, we're adults, aren't we? Yeah, we're going to be fine. So I don't actually like to. I can't stand watching myself. It's on film. It just makes me. I don't know. What I like is I like the process. I enjoy the process. I enjoy the work. I enjoy the sort of collaborative effort, and that's really what it's all about for me. In terms of the films you speak about, like Sweeney, which was quite a challenge, or Edward Scissorhands. Without question, Edward Scissorhands for me was the most important thing I've ever done to date because it helped me. After I'd done Crybaby with John Waters, which was it was a move, a conscious maneuver on my part, in a sense that after they'd offered me these horrible things, like where you just carry guns and dry hump some young woman, which is not a bad thing per se, but in the context of cinema, I just felt it might have been done 1 or 2 times prior. So Crybaby was a step forward in a direction that I knew I wanted to go. Edward Scissorhands was for me the dream because it was like solidifying. It was like I was on solid ground, and no matter what happened after that film, I had made my statement in terms of cinema. I'd done Crybaby, I'd done Edward Scissorhands, and if I had to go back to being a gas station attendant, that was fine to do that, And I thought it was going to happen, and it still might, but I was well prepared for it. So, in terms of your question, I think yes, Scissorhands was without a doubt, the most important thing I've ever done.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks. Why did the microphones go?